What's up, guys? Election Insight here with another video, and today I'm going to talk to you about the new poll that came out from Trafalgar Group that shows the Republicans way up in the generic ballot. Like, this would be, we're talking 1994 levels of a wave. 1994, 2010, we're talking something major if this is actually legit. So, yeah. Brandon, or Joe Biden, is only at 38.7% approval rating. That is rough. They say, to give you an idea, they say a good mark for a president is to be around 50. It's at 38.7. It's 11.3 points under where he needs to be. And if you look at the generic ballot, it isn't much better, and in fact, it is worse. GOP is way up over the Democrats, 55.7% to 42.2%. And the reason why I believe this, and I'm not, dismissing it as an outlier, is because if you look at the other generic ballot uh, polls, they show the Democrats around that 42%, and they show the Republicans around 43 or so. They show it close, but both parties in the low 40s. Here, what they're doing is they're making people decide a party preference, and generally, if you will not say your party preference to a pollster, you're not going to end up supporting the party in power. So these people have, admitted that they're leaning towards the GOP, and this is the numbers that you're ending up with. And also, I think Trafalgar does add R, so that could make a couple of points difference. But the bottom line is Trafalgar is one of the most accurate pollsters out there, and they're showing this blowout. And if this blowout happened in 2022, you're talking probably 260, 270 seats in the House for the Republicans, and if it carried over to the Senate, I think the Republicans pick up the four battlegrounds thereafter, which are Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and New Hampshire. So they're at 54. Needless to say, they hold everything. But I also think you're talking flipping Colorado, which is a semi battleground, getting them to 55. And they're going to be competitive in Oregon and possibly Washington. I don't think they're going to end up flipping one, but those races would be competitive. Um, Illinois has had Republican senators, Republican governors. Those that Senate race could end up being competitive. I mean, you're talking a lot of things. Hell, maybe even Maryland with if Larry Hogan runs and there's this much of a Republican advantage in the national environment, I think you're seeing Senator Larry Hogan. Yeah. Also, if you look at if you now let's shift back over to the approval poll. This is basically in line with what we've been seeing, other than there's a lot less no opinion, and most of the people who do not have an opinion are going to be in this disapprove category. So here is the biggest problem that I see for Joe Biden. So if you look at his strongly disapproved numbers, these are the people that think it's easiest to describe him as it would take something almost miraculous for them to shift. So these are the heck no, I do not like Biden in any way. That's almost half already. So Biden is almost automatically underwater. And then with the disapprove, these are the people that don't like Joe Biden, but they're probably not going to be chanting FJB at a football game or something like that. And I think these people, I would guess they're most likely Democrats or Democratic leaning independents that are just not satisfied with the job he's doing. And as you can see down here, 25.6% of Democrats disapprove. So I'm guessing that that's where that shows up in the poll. But yeah, these people are most likely Democrats. They're not enthused. These people, I would guess, a lot of them they may not vote for Republicans in 2022, but they may stay home and not vote, which is gonna, you know, have the same effect. The approved people, these are probably Democrats who are more inherently liberal and thus uh, tend to like their president as their vote blue no matter who, but they have problems with him, and that's why they're not in the strongly approved. They have problems with Biden, and that's why, and there's, and these people I would call swingable. So if so, you could potentially swing these people, and then these no opinion people. My guess would be they're in this disapprove category, but they don't want to have that, but they don't want to tell a pollster that. So Joe Biden's floor is the strongly approved people, 20.2%. To give you an idea, we all thought President Trump had horrible approval rating. His floor was high 30s, low 40s for strongly approved. The problem with President Trump's approval rating was these people and this is usually called the somewhat category, or somewhat approved, somewhat disapproved. The problem with President Trump is he didn't really have very many people in the somewhat approved category, and he had a similar number, maybe even a little less, of strongly disapproved. But yeah, with the President Trump, these two categories were much smaller. But I think Biden has a lot of problems. Especially this category is in the same range as Donald Trump, but this category is not anywhere near. So when you're talking about a midterm election, we know these people are going to turn out. 99% sure these people are going to turn out. You see which base is bigger here. Yeah, I don't think Biden's headed for a very good midterm election. And also, if you look at the people with party identification, new polls have shown that Republicans have about are leading in party identification 47 to 42, meaning that 47% of people in the country say they're Republicans, 42% say they lean Democratic. So yeah, only 10.1% of Republicans approve. That's about normal for an opposition party, although I think with Democrats is only like 2 or 3% approved to Donald Trump and 88.3% disapproved. Yeah, that's kind of expected. But if you go the unaffiliated voters, this is where Biden's going to have problems. For a president, you need to be 50-50 with this group. He's at 31. That's not going to be good for him. And he's still supported among Democrats, but look at this. 71.7. So approval rating among Democrats 71.7, disapproval rating among Republicans 88.3. Generally, it's said that the people who hate a politician are more likely to turn out than the people who love him. Looks like there's a lot more people that hate him and love him. This midterm is not going to be good. Just kind of reinstating that. And then, uh, and also, if you think this poll's an outlier, Quinnipiac, which is a very left-leaning pollster, they've some polls have been wrong on the Republican side. Quinnipiac is the one that's usually the most wrong on the Democratic side. They're showing Biden with a 33% approval rating. Showing you Biden's not doing very well. And then here's the generic ballot. So these the way this poll is run is they account for the secret Republican voter because there is a reputation that the media is inherently liberal. So therefore some Republicans will not tell pollsters who they're going to vote for. So Trafalgar adds a couple points. But even with that, there's no way they're adding 13 points to the Republican tally. So yeah, you look at this, even if Republicans come anywhere near that, you're you're talking massive waves. You're talking all four seats in the Senate, then sub. You're talking something. You're talking a wave that it's it's almost going to be unprecedented. And yeah, and as the article says here, this is because of the withdrawal from Afghanistan and how that was botched, not necessarily the fact that he did withdraw, which was, I think, probably was a good thing in terms of principle, but was horribly executed. COVID is getting, we're at 1.5 million Omicron cases a day. Con- that is very concerning. Inflation, we're at 7% a year. We should be at 2% a year, if that gives you an idea. And with since and everyone is recognizing this inflation, they may not know the term if they're not that well educated, but they all know that when you're seeing prices continuing and continuing to go up, mm, they're finding someone to blame, and they usually blame that on the top guy, which here happens to be Joe Biden. And high gas prices, again, Americans are seeing this directly, paying more at the pump, and they're blaming it on the top guy, Joe Biden. The crisis at the border, we have more migrants crossing the border than we have in a very long time. I think actually ever recorded. Um, the border crisis, people are again going to blame it on the top guy. His executive overreach. Some might disagree with this one, but I think what they're talking about is his federal vaccine mandate that just got struck down. There are still, I would say, a quarter of the country is a hard no on the vax. So therefore, when they see Biden do something like this, they're gonna go ahead and get madder at him and be the ones that are first to show up and vote against him. And they also point out authoritarian behavior, intentionally divisive politics, and declining mental state. I think this is more political rhetoric, but you will see it used on the campaign trail. I'm not going to comment on it for obvious reasons because I'm supposed to be objective, and I try to be objective. So, yeah. And of course, at the end of this, they say President Trump responded, yeah, I think it's pretty clear he's going to be the Republican candidate in 2024. So you usually see opposition uh, candidates uh, go ahead and attack the incumbent at every step, kind of like Biden did. And yeah, bottom line is, I think this poll, if it's remotely accurate, which Trafalgar has had a tendency to be, is going to show a Republican wave like you've never seen before, and President Biden is going to be repudiated worse than President Obama was in 2010, election inside out.